I think we all know that growth or change doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Think about planting a seed. You tuck it into the soil, you water it, and then for a while, nothing. At least that's how it looks. But under the surface, something is happening. Roots are spreading, life is forming, and in time, what was hidden breaks through the ground, and we begin to see that flower or plant. So, have you ever stared at a situation in your life and thought, I don't see anything happening? Is God really working here? Maybe it's a prayer that feels unanswered, or a dream that feels stalled, or maybe it's a struggle that just won't go away. We live in a world that measures progress by what we can see, touch, or count. But God often works in ways that are hidden beneath the surface. In Luke 5, we see Simon Peter was living in that tension. He had just finished an exhausting night of fishing with nothing to show for it. His nets were empty, and his efforts seemed wasted. And right there, in the place of frustration and defeat, Jesus showed up. He stepped into Simon Peter's boat and asked him to go back out, to drop the nets one more time. It really didn't make sense. From Simon Peter's perspective, there were no fish. But when he obeyed Jesus, the nets overflowed. Here's the truth: God was working long before Simon saw the fish. He was working in Simon's heart, teaching him to trust. He was working in the timing and preparing a moment that would not just fill nets, but also open Simon Peter's eyes to who Jesus really was. So often we ask, is God working? But we're really asking, can I see the results yet? But God's work is deeper than results. He works in the waiting. He works in the silence. He works in the unseen places. That's where faith is formed. Jesus said in John 5, verse 17, my Father is always working, and so am I. That means that even when it looks quiet, even when it feels like nothing is changing, God is at work. So, if your nets feel empty today, don't mistake that for God's absence. He may be setting you up for a miracle that will leave you, like Simon Peter, on your knees in awe, not just because your circumstances change, but because you realize God Himself has been with you all along. The question isn't, is God working? The question is, will I trust Him even when I can't see it yet? And when we can put our hope and our faith in that, we will build bold faith.